So what is there to do in Atlanta? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you the full breakdown of all of my favorite things to do in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and that's coming up right now. Right now, I am hanging out in Oakland Cemetery. It's a beautiful day in Atlanta, and this is actually my pro tip for you. If you're looking for a place to stay, check out an Airbnb in the Grant Park, Summerhill, Peoplestown area. It's gonna be a little bit more affordable for you than, say, Midtown or Buckhead area, but there's a ton to do. So I love to walk around Oakland Cemetery, as do a lot of Atlantans. You can see it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. Not only do you have this, but just down the street is Grant Park. The zoo is right there. You have the Beacon in Peoplestown, and you have the Georgia Ave Retail District in Summerhill. So there's a ton to do in this area, but it's also a little set back from the craziness as you go north. So that's my first pro tip for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. This YouTube channel is all about what it's like to live in the Atlanta area. My name is Marc Brenner. I'm a realtor here in Atlanta, and my team and I, the Living in Atlanta team, help people relocate here from out of town all the time, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking of moving here, whether you're renting or buying, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. All of my contact information is in the description below. We would love to hear from you. Also, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's a huge help to me and my channel. All right, so I've lived in Atlanta going on 11 years now, which in Atlanta terms, more or less makes me a local at this point. So I've written down all of my top recommendations for restaurants, bars, things to do, outdoors activities, everything I think you should consider doing for your trip or for while you live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've got my notes here. There's a lot to go over, and I'm gonna run through it pretty quick, but don't worry, I am gonna attach a link in the description to a spreadsheet so that you can refer back to this if you are visiting or in town and you want a recommendation for a place to eat or something to do. All that information will be available for you, so make sure you grab that download. All right, so let's get right into it. I'll talk briefly about each of these recommendations, but I'm gonna rip through it pretty quick. So let's talk about where you're gonna stay in Atlanta right off the bat. Now, personally, I'm an Airbnb guy. I feel like you can get a lot more value, especially in the Atlanta area with Airbnbs. Now, if you do want to stay in a hotel, I highly recommend either the St. Regis or the W in Midtown. They're both fantastic options, but keep in mind, they're gonna cost you a few $100s each night at the least. So I think the better bet is actually to try to snag an Airbnb with a kitchen, which saves you a lot of money if you don't have to eat every single meal out. If you can have a kitchen and a fridge to do a light grocery shop and eat breakfast and lunch there, it saves you a ton of money on your trip. So look for an Airbnb. You should be able to find one in town at around $100, maybe a little bit more, maybe even a little bit less, but it could save you a ton on costs. And a lot of times you have a much larger space all to yourself, rather than a hotel, which is gonna cost way more and have less space for you. Now, in terms of where you should stay, you have a lot of options, and it's impossible for me to cover all the little micro areas for you to stay or for you not to stay. But in general, if you're here visiting and you're doing more touristy things, I would recommend looking for a spot north of I-20, which runs right through the middle of Atlanta. That's typically where some of the nicest areas are. So I would stick to the north side of Atlanta generally, but that's not to say there aren't some great places to stay in Atlanta south of 20. Keep in mind though, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport is in the south side of the city, so the further you stray north, the further you are gonna be from the airport. All right, so let's get right into restaurants, because I know for me personally, when I go visit a new place, that's the first thing I start researching. Where are all the restaurants that I can go check out? So let's start running through my list in each category for restaurants. So if you're looking for a high-end dining experience, a nice treat for you and your spouse, I would definitely recommend trying to get a reservation either at Staple House or Miller Union. These are some of the most highly regarded higher end restaurants in Atlanta right now. If you're looking for a great seafood dinner, my favorite spot for seafood in Atlanta is Kimball House in Decatur. What about barbecue? You are in the South after all. Now this is obviously up for big debate amongst Atlantans, but I think your safest bets would be Fox Brothers Barbecue or Daddy D's, which is my personal favorite in the Grant Park area. You really can't go wrong with either of those options. If you're feeling like a special sushi dinner, some of the best sushi I've ever had in my life was at Sushi Hayakawa. Of course, you'll probably need a nice brunch spot during your visit, and I would highly recommend the General Muir, which is near the Emory campus, and I would also recommend Rise and Dine, which is a little bit less of a higher end dining experience, but is still great nonetheless. If you're in the mood for Italian food, I would definitely check out Storico Fresco Alimentari or Bocco Lupo, which are both in the Midtown, West Midtown area. If you happen to be in the mood for great Chinese food, it will be well worth the trip to go up north to Masterpiece in the Duluth area. It's a James Beard nominee and some of the best Chinese food I've ever had. Now, we definitely love our Mexican food here in Georgia, and I think some of the best you can find is going to be at El Rey del Taco, which is off Buford Highway. Now, speaking of Buford Highway, I've said it in many of my videos before, but if you're in the mood for more of a cheap eats feel, if you like foreign food, I highly recommend you check out Buford Highway, which is really close to the city, but is a great place to check out all kinds of wonderful foreign food, especially Asian and Latin American food. It's one of my favorite places to go in the city. If you're a coffee head like me and you're looking for a great coffee shop to start your day off, we don't have the best coffee scene in Atlanta, to be honest, but some of my local favorites would be as follows. Chrome Yellow, which is in the Edgewood area. I really love Full Commission, which is in the Grant Park area. And there's also the Cold Brew Bar and Muchacho, which are both off Memorial Drive in the Reynoldstown area. You can't go wrong with any of those coffee shops. So let's go right into bars and clubs, which honestly isn't really my scene, but I can definitely still give you some great recommendations. Now, if you're looking to do some late night partying and dancing, and you want more of a hip hop vibe, from what I've been told, the Gold Room in Buckhead is the place for you. If you are wanting more of a dance electric style vibe with a really cool atmosphere, check out Little Trouble in West Midtown. It's a really cool bar. Now, if a great dive bar is more your style, there's no better dive bar in Atlanta than Northside Tavern, which is in the West Midtown area as well. It's a fantastic place to grab a beer that locals absolutely love. And if you're looking for a great bar that has beer as its focus, there are two major recommendations I would make. There's the Porter Beer Bar in Little Five Points, and there's Brixdorf Pub, which is pretty much world famous in Decatur Square area. They're both fantastic options if you're a beer fan. Now let's talk about more traditional options for you to check out in Atlanta, especially if you have a family. The Atlanta Zoo is in Grant Park. That's definitely worth checking out. The Georgia Aquarium is known to be one of the best in the entire country. We also have a fantastic art museum, the High Museum, which is definitely worth checking out, and the Atlanta Botanical Gardens, which may sound boring, but they do all kinds of wonderful themed events within the garden, and it's a beautiful setting to go walk around. Definitely recommend you check that out as well. Now, if you're the type who likes to check out a great sporting event when you're visiting a city, we do have most of your major sports franchises. You can definitely check out a Falcons game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium when they're playing. The Atlanta Braves play out in Cobb County at SunTruist Park. There's no hockey team anymore, unfortunately, but we do, of course, have the Atlanta Hawks that play basketball near the downtown area, and we have Atlanta United, which also plays at Mercedes-Benz, and they are absolutely fantastic games to go to. Atlanta really has gotten behind our soccer teams, so if that's more your vibe, my number one recommendation for a sports game, if you're here at the right time, would be an Atlanta United game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. What about shopping? You're probably going to want to do some shopping when you're in town. Obviously, we've got you covered there. The two major malls are going to be Lenox and Phipps Plaza, which are in Buckhead. They're very close to one another, and they have all the high-end boutiques, pretty much every store that you could imagine, so you can definitely go check that out. If you're looking for more of a market vibe, we have two major markets. There's the Pont City Market in Midtown, which is an old Sears building. It's absolutely huge and filled with places to shop and restaurants to check out. We also have the slightly smaller, but actually one that I like better, Krog Street Market, which is also off the Beltline. great restaurants and things to do there. There's also the Westside Provisions District in West Midtown. There's a lot of great shopping over there. And of course, Atlantic Station, which you may have already heard of. Great place, especially during the holidays, but you can check out a movie there, go shopping. There's tons of things to do over Atlantic Station as well. All right, let's talk real quick about walkable areas, because if you've watched any of my videos before, you know Atlanta is known for its sprawl. We're not a very dense city, and a lot of the neighborhoods are spread out, so you can't walk from one to another like you could in maybe in New York or a DC. But there are walkable areas. One of the best to check out would be the Inman Park area off Highland Ave. Very walkable, lots of different things you can do there. You can also, of course, hop right on the Beltline from Inman Park. Another great option would be Little Five Points, another kind of quirky, very walkable area, might be worth checking out. Decatur Square is definitely one of the best places to go for a walk, check out different restaurants and places to shop. Highly walkable area there. And Virginia Highlands, Vahai, again, another great little walkable area with plenty of unique boutiques. And over in the Old Fourth Ward along Boulevard, more of a night scene, but the bars in this area really come alive at night. So if that is more of your speed, that's probably where you want to check out. All right, so let's talk about beer and wine, because I know some of you enjoy those items. There are some great breweries to check out. I really like Monday Night Garage, which is right off the Beltline. There's also Wild Heaven right next to it that you can enjoy as well. Three Taverns is one of the best breweries in the city, and probably my favorite brewery at the moment is called Halfway Crooks. It's in Summerhill. They do not bottle or distribute any of their beer, so you have to go to the brewery. It's a really cool setup, and the beer is fantastic. So make sure you check out Halfway Crooks. And you may not have even known this, but we do have some great vineyards in North Georgia that actually produce some really good quality wine and make for a great day trip, beautiful scenery up in the North Georgia mountains. Some of the best that I've been to would include Wolf Mountain Vineyards, Yona Mountain Vineyards, and Frogtown Cellars. All right, moving on, let's talk about outdoor activities, because if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know we have a ton of green spaces and lots of fantastic stuff to do outdoors. If you just want to enjoy a park, of course, there's Piedmont Park, which is our biggest and most famous park in Midtown. And obviously from Piedmont Park, you can hop on the Beltline and walk your way either south towards Inman Park, or you can keep heading up north. That's a great park to check out. And my personal favorite park is Grant Park. I live in this area, but it's filled with trees, it's kind of secluded, and it's not as crowded as Piedmont Park, so you may really enjoy that. In terms of more outdoor stuff, if you're into hiking, I would definitely check out Arabia Mountain. It has some really unique rock faces you may not have experienced before, and Stone Mountain is got a ton of history and definitely a great place for a nice little hike. A bonus one I would include here would be the Tallulah River Gorge, which is about an hour north, but it's some of the best scenery you'll find in all of Georgia. In terms of rivers and lakes, there's Lake Lanier in North Georgia, which you can rent out a place to stay there. You can rent out jet skis. There's even a little beach area, great during the holidays, but Atlantans love Lake Lanier, so that could be a good option for you. Shooting the hooch is super popular among locals. You don't even need to leave the city to do it. There's an easy mile or two stretch in town. You can just hop on a tube. You can bring food and drinks. Make sure you clean up after yourselves, but shooting the hooch is a very popular activity here. If you're looking for more of a rafting or kayaking experience that's not too insane, I would recommend the Cartacay River experience up in Ellijay, Georgia. They have all the equipment you need. You can either just hop on a float and take it easy, or you can get in a kayak and go through some nice Class 2 rapids up there. So I'm taking you on location to a couple spots in this video that I recommend you check out. But if I'm gonna break down what I think you need to do when you visit Atlanta, if it's not freezing out, if it's a beautiful day, you've got to get outside. A couple things I would absolutely recommend you don't miss would be the Beltline, just because it's new, it's exciting, there's lots of people out enjoying it, and there's so many different directions you can take your day on the Beltline. Now, other than that, outside of checking out some of the amazing restaurants and other more family-friendly things to do in Atlanta, I definitely think if you're here for a few days, a drive up to the North Georgia mountains would be worth it. Checking out the Blue Ridge Parkway, it's not that far away, and the scenery is absolutely fantastic. I would definitely recommend you check out one of the vineyards I mentioned. It's a little bit of a different vibe when you think of Atlanta, but it's a great way to combine the beautiful nature of North Georgia with whatever you have going on when you're staying in the city. So those are probably my two biggest recommendations if you visit Atlanta. If you're in the city, you need to spend some time on the Beltline, enjoying the outdoors and the restaurants that are available. And if you want to get away in the country a little bit, drive up north, check out the North Georgia mountains, check out the Blue Ridge Parkway, and find a vineyard or two to stop off at, enjoy some food and wine, and either come back a few hours later when you've sobered up a bit or plan a stay in North Georgia. Those are some of my strongest recommendations for your stay here. All right, so I am on the Beltline right now, and if you're visiting Atlanta, it's probably the number one thing I recommend you check out. If it's a decent day outside and not too cold, you really have to check out the Beltline. There is plenty of things to do, from walking, biking, or running to just going to different neighborhoods and checking out bars and restaurants. So I would recommend you do one of two things: either start in Inman Park, hop on the Beltline and head towards Piedmont Park, or the opposite. Go enjoy Piedmont Park for a little bit, and then when you're ready, hop on the Beltline and head towards Inman Park. And along the way, you're actually going to pass two of the shopping things that I mentioned in this video. Both Pont City Market and Krog Street Market are on that path along the Beltline. So, whatever you do with your day, you can be outside, you can be exercising or just taking it easy, but the Beltline is definitely one of the best amenities in Atlanta. It's connected neighborhoods that have not been connected before. You get to be out, see a lot of people, be in the fresh air, and there's tons of bars and restaurants along different parts of the Beltline. So definitely come check this out. It's a beautiful day right now, and if you come visit Atlanta, you want to check out the Beltline. All right, so that's a local's recommendation for what to do for your stay in Atlanta. There is a ton of things to do here, so there's no way you should ever run out of things or be bored. If you want to talk more about this, if you want a recommendation for something to do or a place to stay, you have my contact information. Please feel free to reach out anytime. I love talking about Atlanta. So thank you for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.